Teenager Danielle Cramer vanished from her home in Bloomfield, Connecticut, in the early morning hours of June 14, 2006. Because she was known to occasionally run away, police initially did not treat the case as a kidnapping. But later, for reasons both physical as well as digital, their focus shifted to a questionable acquaintance of her parents, one who may have been grooming her. In the months leading up to her disappearance, when Danielle went missing, she had dark brown hair, which she often kept pulled back. What scarce pictures are available of her show that she had deep brown eyes and pale fair skin. Her parents told police that they believed she left with someone she knew, possibly someone she was groomed by, as no signs of forced injury were found around the home or property. In the days following Danielle's disappearance, investigators searched for any clues leading to her whereabouts, but came up empty-handed. Attention was initially focused on 41-year-old Adam Galt, a dog trainer from West Hartford, Connecticut, who had previously worked for the girl's family. While Galt was interviewed multiple times by authorities, including just 4 days after the girl initially went missing, police were unable to connect him to the victim. This would change, however, when digital forensics were finally processed. Detectives obtained Danielle's cell phone records, which showed that she had been in frequent contact with the 41-year-old, and Adam Galt admitted that they had been in contact. He denied any involvement in her disappearance. Detectives pressed him for information on the missing teen, but without a search warrant, investigators never got past Colt's front door. Media reports do not specify what the final impetus to get a search warrant actually was, but just under a year later, on June 6, 2007, a judge signed off on a total search of the 41-year-old dog trainer's home. Officers who served the warrants were searching inside of the dilapidated and ramshackle home when a law enforcement agent, identified as Officer Blatter, moved aside a bedroom dresser, only to discover it was actually blocking a small door. The policeman recalls the moment the teen was recovered. He says he remembers he slid open the lock, opens the door, and looked inside, promptly calling out, "Lieutenant, you better get in here." Danielle was found huddled inside the room, behind the door. The cramped enclosure was just over 3 feet tall, or 1 meter high, and just under 5 feet or 1.2 meters deep. Police said they did not find bedding inside, and it was not clear if the girl was kept in the room or slept elsewhere. Police arrested the 41-year-old Galt, who was almost 3 times the captive girl's senior. They also arrested his living girlfriend, 40-year-old Ann Murphy. Another woman who lived in the home, 26-year-old Kimberly Cray, was also arrested. A male teen was also discovered living in the home, identified only as a 15-year-old boy. It was not clear whose child he was, or if he was even related to any of the occupants. The male teenager's case has been referred to the Department of Children and Families. It is not clear what the relationship was between the 26-year-old woman, Kimberly Cray, and the couple in their 40s, as she is simply described as a roommate, nor is it known how the other 15-year-old male factors into the crime as another victim. At a press conference, to announce the positive twist in the case, a reporter questioned if the girl went willingly and if the relationship with the 41-year-old was consensual. A police officer reminded him of the age discrepancy and said, quote, "We can assume that a 14-year-old under the influence of a 40-year-old has been harmed in some way." Officer Blatter continued, quote, "What a 14-year-old says is voluntary may not be voluntary." Police had previously established that Galt knew Danielle. For some time they said that he and the girl's parents had some sort of undisclosed prior business transaction. This may have been when Danielle first came into contact with the man, decades her senior. During the time police were looking for the teen, Galt subjected Danielle to physical and psychological abuse. He kept her locked up in a tiny bedroom, and denied her food, water, and access to medical care. Furthermore, he threatened her with violence and made her follow strict rules. While under his control, investigators also said that the girl had been forced by her captors to use a new name. Although they did not specify the assumed moniker, Galt also used internet technology to further victimize both Danielle and her family. He created several fake online profiles, which Danielle was forced to use to communicate with people she knew and loved outside of the home. Galt then used these conversations as a tool for manipulation, further enforcing his control over her. According to the girl's later recovered diary, which was given to police investigators by her mother, Danielle wrote that Galt had introduced her to alcohol and drugs, and it is stated he engaged in illegal physical relations with her. Records attained by media outlets also show Galt rented a commercial loft space, where police later found a mattress and video camera equipment. After her rescue, Danielle stayed for a short while in protective custody in order to receive medical attention and to be deposed after her rescue. Danielle was described by police as being, quote, in a state of confusion. Authorities said they were not sure if the girl, who had a history of running away from home, was being held against her will. West Hartford Police Captain Lori Coppinger said that Galt has had previous involvement with juvenile females, quote, something very similar to what's going on now with this girl, inappropriate relationships. Galt is believed to have taken Danielle out of state on at least one occasion, and the FBI will be looking into those trips. Danielle's mother said upon reflection of the arduous journey to find her daughter, quote, I never thought that I would see her alive. I'm so relieved that she is, and that she's in good hands right now, and I'm very happy to have my daughter back. After police interviews, Danielle was put into the custody of child welfare officials who were in the process, along with psychiatrists, of deciding how to best reintroduce her to the family. Galt was charged with second-degree unlawful restraint, second-degree reckless endangerment, second-degree custodial interference, interfering with an officer, risk of an injury to a minor, and second-degree forgery. His long-term girlfriend, Ann Murphy, was charged with conspiracy to commit second-degree reckless endangerment, conspiracy to commit second-degree custodial interference, and risk of an injury to a minor. Kimberly Cray, the 26-year-old roommate, was charged with reckless endangerment, conspiracy to commit custodial interference, risk of injury to a minor, and conspiracy to commit unlawful restraint. All three were initially held under a bond set at $1 million each. Galt also faces kidnapping charges stemming from an alleged 1998 case in which a runaway told police that she was sexually assaulted by Galt several times while living with him. She said that the very same place he would assault her was also used as his primary place of business. It is rumored that some of the tools and techniques used in his dog training business were also used by Galt in order to control the teenage girls. The 1998 victim did not come forward until Galt was arrested for Danielle's disappearance, and she has been able to remain anonymous throughout the media coverage of the case. Superior Court Judge David Gold ordered Adam Galt transferred from the correctional system to the Whitting Forensic Division of Connecticut Valley Hospital for a 60-day evaluation. Forensic evaluators found that Galt was clinically depressed and unable to assist in his own defense. At the time, his hair was long and unkempt, and he spent most of his time looking down, an act his critics say was false, as evidenced in contrast to his later court appearances, when he sported a crew cut and seemed alert as he answered the judge's questions. Some close to the case described Gold's claim that he was crazy as, quote, a stunt which they say is designated to get him out of the general prison population and into a state mental hospital where he can enjoy such luxuries as watching television and would have access to a library, an environment highly preferable to general population. While the judge agreed with the psych report, he expressed his skepticism in regards to some of the findings, commenting that Galt is a clear predator, a man who persisted in locating, grooming, and abusing multiple vulnerable young women. The state prosecutor said that Galt cleverly and cunningly befriended his previous victim prior to her 16th birthday, in the same manner that he would later befriend 14-year-old Danielle nearly a decade after his first victim was captured. The prosecutor added that Galt took the first girl from West Hartford and that she lived with him in Vernon for 6 weeks. Court documents indicate that Galt is accused of kidnapping the 1998 girl around April 22nd. The prosecutor says that she was allowed to leave the Vernon home on June 2, 1998 when she left. The prosecutor said Galt grabbed her by the neck and pushed her. In addition, the prosecutor said that there were plans for the girl to hide if police came looking for her. At one point, he said there was a knocking, presumably on the front door, and the girl got out their bathroom window. Galt pleaded guilty only to first-degree kidnapping for the 1998 incident. The likely reason that he was even able to be charged is that Connecticut law puts no time limitation on prosecutions for kidnapping as opposed to other crimes, which, under the statute of limitations in effect at the time, merited only about 5 years to prosecute. State law has since been changed to allow for the prosecution of sexual assaults of children which were reported any time before the victim reaches 48. In the more recent case, Galt pleaded guilty to first-degree kidnapping, conspiracy to commit that crime, risk of an injury to a child, as well as 4 counts of second-degree sexual assault, also known as statutory rape. Upon accounting for the totality of Galt's crimes, he was held on a $2.35 million bond pending his eventual trial. In May of 2008, Adam Galt was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the kidnapping and sexual assault of Danielle. His prison term will be followed by 20 years, mandatory probation, a criminal restraining order against the victims in their families, and mandatory sex offender registration. At the sentencing hearing, Hartford Superior Court Judge David Gold told the sexual predator, quote, "You separated them from their families and friends and made them believe you were their only option. They were imprisoned by one who preyed on their fears." Leaders of the community say the kidnapping of Danielle Cramer is a powerful reminder of the extreme lengths that some sick individuals will go through in order to exercise power and control over another. It also serves as an important warning about the potential dangers posed by modern technology